morning, gentlemen. How are we today?
Too sweet. Woo, woo, too sweet. I'm doing great.
Kenny Six-Pack.
Kenny Six-Pack, yes. That is my new nickname.
Yurko the other day, I think, forgot what Kevin's name was.
I'm almost certain he forgot my first name.
So he called him
Too sweet. Too sweet.
Kenny Six-Pack is the other name. How about that? Too Sweet and Kenny Six-Pack. There you go.
Listen,
We're great.
Any
What's up?
nickname you guys want to dole out, I can take it, all right? I'll wear that.
Has Caleb Williams signed yet?
No, and I'm glad you asked because that's where we're going to start today,
All right.
Chris. It is rookie day up at Hallis Hall as the Bears draft picks will be headed up there. Veterans report on Friday, but of course the big story is the contract status of Caleb Williams and also Rome Odunze. Of course, Caleb is the one getting most of the attention, but Odunze not signed either. So the question is, shot or no shot? If Caleb Williams remains unsigned at the end of today, is it now officially a distraction?
That is a no shot. Not for me. It is not a distraction for me. And the reason why is because I know that this is going to get done. That's him and Odunze, as a matter of fact. It will get done. The last thing you want right now, all of those great things that people are saying about the Chicago Bears, all the positive storylines, even the stadium is a positive storyline because it's going in a certain direction, probably the right direction going to Arlington Heights. What I'm saying is, Chris, is that I think it's going to be fine. It is not a distraction for me as a fan. That's a no shot.
Will it be fine? I agree with you on that front. I think it could be a distraction if it doesn't happen in the next couple of days. You know, the first practice is Saturday. You know, like, we're here. Training camp is here.
Yeah.
Rookies are reporting today. You will hear Matt Eberflus and Ryan Poles speak to the media on Friday. The first practice is on Saturday. He's got to be in uniform for Saturday. It will be a distraction. If he's not there on Saturday for the first practice, this will be a distraction. Both he and Rome Odunze, absolutely.
Caleb Williams has said that he is not handling this contract. The Bears are negotiating with his people. That's a screeching headline right now for Mike Florio.
Yeah, but he's also in a situation, and I heard Courtney Cronin earlier this morning hosting during Unsportsmanlike explain the situation that he doesn't have an agent. So he has people who are not certified to actually negotiate with teams looking over things. They're lawyers. They're people that work for him. But the person that has to communicate with the Bears, Caleb's one of the people that has to negotiate because he doesn't have an actual agent who's certified by the NFLPA. Mm-hmm. So that's what Courtney was saying this morning here on ESPN 1000. So, yeah, the headline can say I'm not involved in it, but as she explained, he's involved in it because he doesn't have an agent. It's a shot. To me, it's a shot. If he's not there for the first practice, this will be a distraction.
I'm as cool as a cucumber when it comes to this. Totally just fine. It'll be fine, Chris. Don't worry about it.
Let's get it done. Let's get it done today.
I do find it interesting, though, because, I mean, he's already made NIL money, so it's not like he needs any tag days. It's not like there are some athletes that are such misers that they're like, no, I'm holding on to my money, right? Like, I don't need an agent. I'll just hold on. I don't have to give my agent 10%, 8%, whatever. In this situation, he actually needs someone because if he's the one that's got to come to the table, that's always problematic. Like, for me, in my career, I've never gone to the table. I've never gone to the table. I always have someone speaking on my behalf.
Yeah.
Could you imagine me in there knowing how hard that we work or how many hours we put in and someone's going to lowball you? I couldn't do that. I'll send someone else to talk to Danny, not me. It's like, because
I like talking to Danny.
No, I'm talking about when it comes to negotiations. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I know. I talked to Danny.
Yeah. And then, how's it going?
We've got a nice show at night.
Yeah.
6:30 to 8 when the White Sox don't play. Or if there's Bears Weekly. It's a great spot.
Going that well, huh?
And I'm filling in here. Last 2 days. This is great.
You're welcome.
This is fun. This is a fun week.
You're welcome.
All-Star break week.
Yeah, of course. Going that well, huh? Here's Kevin.
What's that look for, Kevin?
What look? I didn't give a look.
I'm enjoying my time here today.
There's no look. I know you're enjoying it. We're glad to have you. Although generally, and Abdallah did this when he was filling in last week, generally when there's a fill-in, they bring donuts.
Oh, I can get you food if you want food.
Yeah? Is that a promise?
Sure.
Okay, we'll talk during the break.
Okay.
All right, you guys talked about these.
Anytime you want to keep the show moving.
I mean, my God, as long as Kenny's six-pack is fed.
You guys were talking about the strength of the NFC North a little bit earlier during the 5 burning questions concerning the Bears going into this season. Chris, I think you mentioned that all the teams are kind of projected in that 8 or 9 win range. Shot or no shot, the NFC North will have 4 teams over 500.
That is a no shot. I say the 2 best divisions in football is the AFC and NFC North. Both of them
Yeah, I could see that.
are going to be fantastic, I think.
I think it's a no shot because I don't see both Minnesota and Chicago winning 9 games because that's what it has to be over 500. You can't. The 8 is no longer 500, so you'd have to get to 9.
Can we just grade on a curve and just say 8 9's 500?
No, but it's not. It's not 500 though.
I know it's not.
So I'm going to say no shot because I don't think they'll be that good. I think if you have a chance to have your bottom feeder of the division be at 8 wins, that's a really good division.
Bear schedule's over your shoulder, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Again.
Listen,
Everyone's talking
Greeny,
about it.
Hembo, Nuno, Graziano. Who else is on set there on Get Up? They're all into it. I love it. Bears content. It's great.
Everyone's
talking Bears.
Everyone's interested in seeing how this is all going to, what's the ceiling for the Bears in 2024.
See, Orlovsky, there you go.
So they're all talking about it. So I think it's a no shot, Kevin. And this is why I talked, not extensively, but we did like an extra segment on the Minnesota Vikings. Because if you think that the Minnesota Vikings are going to be last in the NFC North, I think it's going to be very difficult for them to get there. Unless they have a litany of injuries, I think that the Vikings are going to have some fight in them. And so this is when it comes to the Bears. When you look at the Bears and their depth chart and you look at the difference makers they have on defense, I think that they will be better than they were last year. But what's to say that the Bears aren't the last team in the NFC North? I'm not predicting that. I'm just saying that the Vikings will have something to say about it. And definitely Detroit. They might take a little bit of a step back, but I still see them in first place. Like, they could be an 11-win ball club and be in first place. I think that when these teams battle each other in the NFC North, this is going to be a dogfight. It's going to be a struggle. And to think that the Vikings, because they could be in last place, are going to be pushovers, they won't be. They have more positives than actually negatives, I think, on that roster. But again, everything comes back to quarterback play, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Offense.
And that's where the hope lies, right? Like, if Caleb Williams actually turns out to be something, then the Bears have a chance in this division because I think Jordan Love's going to be here for a long time. And Jared Goff is a very accomplished and successful quarterback, but I think we all look at it and we remember back to when he was here with the Rams and it was a cold December game and he couldn't do anything, right? So, like, there's a perception that he's not a good quarterback, even though the stats and the longevity have backed up that he actually is a really good quarterback. There's a chance. If Caleb works out, then we're going to be set.
Kevin, do you think – I'm not going to hold you to it now because it's July, but do you have this sinking feeling that the Bears might be that team that will be underwater?
No, I don't think so, actually. And it's not just because of Caleb and all the expectations and hype around him. I think it's what was already there foundationally with the defense playing so well last season. I think that's going to keep them at a certain level from anything going too sideways. And I think all of the additions on the offense, of course, the wide receivers and then the new center, you've got DeAndre Swift back there. I think Poles has done a fantastic job to keep the floor very high for this team.
It's going to be compelling. That is for sure. I just think that the way the schedule lines up, as we just talked about, Chris, this whole thing of you're not taking on an NFC North opponent until week 11, that first 10 will tell the story of Caleb Williams and this team, not just Caleb Williams, but the team being acclimated and getting used to one another and the rhythm and everything else.
Yeah.
All the games are important. But you get into the North, and you want to be a playoff team, you got to knock off these teams.
Yeah.
Detroit is tough. Green Bay with Jordan Love, people don't want to believe it, but we saw it in real time. That guy is a difference maker. In the next year, this year, he could be even better than he was last year at the quarterback position. He wasn't even the finished product, but he showed some signs, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You go on the road and win a playoff game. I mean, that's good stuff. I would also say, leading into those games late in the season in the division, week 4 week 4 against the Rams at home. If you're expecting the Bears to try and make the wild card this season, that game's going to go a long way to making the wild card because the Rams are going to be right there in that situation. The Rams are not expected to win their division. They will be a playoff competing team. They have the 49ers in their division. They're expected to be a Super Bowl contender. So it'll be that week 4, you're going to have a test right there. And I'm not overlooking Houston on the road in week 2, but you've got some tough games. And you got to get off to a hot start to kind of allow yourself to get to that back end of the schedule against the division to then have a chance, have a fighting chance in this.
Yeah. As we continue to work together this week, Chris, we're going to talk about pressure and how this pressure is different than the C.J. Stroud pressure from last year. It's different. There was very little expectation in Houston with C.J. Stroud, and all of a sudden it was one of the big surprises in the league, right? Everything worked together. Everything worked cohesively to the point where Houston got to the playoffs. That was a dumpster fire of an organization from top to bottom. And then they got to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Pressure's different here.
Oh, for sure.
Pressure's different.
You got to be the savior. This team played well at the end of last year, so they're expected to take another step forward. They won 7 games last year. That's not your typical team that drafts number 1 overall. Right? This isn't you are the worst team in football. So, I mean, you're right. There's going to be a lot of pressure, and with that pressure means you can't go 1-3 in the first month.
Has a number 1 overall pick, a quarterback, ever walked into a better situation?
Yeah, we have to look at that. We have to look at Andrew Luck. Got to look at some of these other quarterbacks in the past and see how ready-made those teams were.
Luck might be the only one.
You got to take it may be a deeper dive than that, but that's just the first name that came to mind.
Yeah, outside of that, not really. I mean, in recent memory, think about how it works. The first pick goes to the worst team in the league.
Colts went 11-5 with Luck as a rookie.
What did they do the year before, though? Because Peyton Manning was hurt, right? Wasn't that... Did they go right from Manning to Luck?
2-14 the year before they drafted him.
And was Manning on that team?
Yeah, he was hurt all year, and then they had to make the decision.
And they knew they were going to move on from Manning, and then that's how you. And I mean, a
lot of Curtis Painter that year.
Yeah, that's bad. That's how you get the first pick.
Manning couldn't throw from me to you. That arm, that neck, it wasn't.
He was done.
He was done
until he wasn't with the Broncos.
That's true. he makes a comeback all of a sudden. Yeah. Can you sneak in one more before around the NFL?
Yeah, absolutely. At this time last year, the Cubs were 43-49, went on to make a big run in July and August. Currently, the Cubs 47-51, very similar spot, but playing a lot better going into the break here with the sweep of Baltimore, a split in St. Louis. Shot or no shot, the Cubs have another summer run in them.
That is a no shot as far as a summer run. Now here, I'm the guy that said in March that I thought this was going to be a playoff team. I did not know that the Cubs would struggle like they have offensively. It's a strange team, Kevin, because the starting pitching, despite the injuries, have been good enough to keep them in ball games. The starting pitching has been very good enough through 6 innings to be able to sustain itself, but the offense has just been lousy. I'm not sure if they can turn this around. I think that the All-Star break comes at a really bad time for the Cubs because they were just turning things around. They split with the St. Louis Cardinals and played much better baseball. Why? Because offensively speaking, they were able to get into a rhythm, into a groove. So I'm not sure if that summer turnaround is going to be there. Did you say 3.5 games out of the wild card?
Correct.
Yeah,
okay, 3.5 games out of the wild card. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of teams to climb. I'm just going to say at this point in time, no shot.
I'm going to say a shot only because of the 3.5 games at their back of the Mets right now in the wild card. I don't expect it to happen, but it's still a shot. And what you pointed to, Jonathan, is in the last week or so going 6-2 in the last couple of series. Like they're playing better baseball.
Yeah.
The back end, the bullpen's going to have to hold it together. Seems like they're starting to get a little bit more pop with the bats. There's a shot. I'm not expecting it, but when you're only 3.5 back in the wild card, there's still a chance. And I know there's a lot of teams in between there, so someone could also get hot, like the Cubs have played in the last week. But you got the Reds, Giants, Pirates, Padres, Diamondbacks all in between before you get to the Mets in that last spot.
Are any of those teams world beaters, though?
No,
Are any
they're
of those
not.
teams significantly better than the Cubs?
They're not, and that's why it's still a shot. You know, like they're hanging around.
But I would say that some of those teams, Kevin, have better back of the bullpens, the 7th, 8th, and 9th. That's the problem with this team. Their relief pitching has not been consistent enough, and the offense went away for a while here in the first half. You get the offense back now, that could be the elixir to be able to mask some of the issues that you have in your bullpen. Because if you're out slugging teams, no matter who you put out there, you can get the outs that you need. But all that has to come together for the Cubs to be able to make a serious run. And don't forget, in the second half, it's the Diamondbacks, but also they take on the Brewers again. The Brewers in a series could bury the Cubs again. They could do it.
For sure.
But hats off to the Cubs for them sweeping one of the best teams in baseball in Baltimore and splitting with St. Louis. So they're hanging in there, but they just see it's 8.5 games back in last place in the Central, but it just seems so far away based on how they play at times. All right, coming up, we give you around the NFL. Albert Breer from SI.com and Monday Morning Quarterback will join us at 8:35. With Chris Bleck, Jonathan Hood with you, Kap and J Hood on ESPN 1000 and also on our YouTube channel.